have a drawing replacement by one of his colleagues.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Are we waiting for Jason?
No, not this evening. Jason has tasked Liz and I. He is confident that we will be able to run this meeting with all of you successfully. So
Okay,
wish me luck.
I'm really sorry. Quick question, Liz. There's a American Canyon resident who wants to do a public comment. Do I give her the same Zoom meeting link yes. Zoom meeting link and password?
Yes, please.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, if she logs on, her name is Sophie.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Clarence.
Of course.
So are we ready, Liz?
We are ready. Sela will not be joining us tonight.
We are?
Oh, Liz, your volume on your computer.
Okay.
Better now?
It's going in and out.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll call the meeting of the Parks and Community Services Commission to order at 6:32. So can we have a roll call?
Bear with me with my audio. Let's see. Honorary Commissioner Amun. Commissioner Griggs.
Here.
Commissioner Mammarell.
Here.
Commissioner Margalotti.
Here.
Vice Chair Cervente.
Here, but Liz, your mic is going on and off.
IT can come down and help with that. Chair Einberger.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, and do we have, did Commissioner Moon let us know?
Yes, she's attending a meeting at the high school tonight.
We can't hear you.
She has a commitment that she's not going to be able to make it this evening.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So next is Pledge of Allegiance. Anyone want to do that? No. Okay, so I will do it. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Oh, sorry. Let me start over. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So public comments then, Liz? We can't hear you. Sorry.
If anybody has a public comment, please raise your hand.
No. Okay. But Commissioner Mammarell, you said there was one public comment?
I provided our meeting link to a American Canyon resident named Sophie Burgo. And I see she hasn't logged on yet. I mean, I suppose, Madam Chair, with your approval, if it turns out that she is able to log on at some future point. Oh.
Have her on.
Oh, actually, she says she logged on. Oh, there she is.
Hello. Hi. Sorry. I don't know what to press because I couldn't see anything else.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm been a resident here for 2 years already. We moved in before the lockdown. And one thing I really wanted to see for American Canyon is to have an inclusive playground specifically for children with disability. That's the only thing I'm preaching.
I think
inclusive playground for all our kids, not just regular kids, but mostly for special ed kids, especially the one that's confined to a wheelchair, because sadly, none of our parks has anything for children on a wheelchair, not even a sensory thing, nothing. So it's not really inclusive. I understand it is wheelchair accessible, but once the child on a wheelchair is in that playground, all they do is stare at other kids play, which is really sad, because one of the things my daughter did say when she went to the playground, oh, I wish I could swing like other kids or slide down, you know, the slide like other kids.
Okay.
So that's one of the things. It's really heartbroken for as a parent.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I think a lot of us couldn't agree more. So
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and is that any other comments?
No. Chair, is it the time for commissioner comments or later?
We're not going to do commissioner comments this evening. That's not on the agenda for tonight.
How about announcements?
No announcements this evening either.
No. So the next thing would be any agenda changes from any agenda changes?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have one. And that would be including commissioner comments and future items for consideration at the right before the adjournment. I note that at our last meeting, April 6, 2022, that item was at the end. So I'm at the end of our agenda. So I'm not quite sure why it wasn't at the end of this agenda, this meeting, but I'd like to have it there.
Commissioner Membrel, just so you're aware, the comments were actually not in the agenda last time. If you look at that agenda, it was not there. It was that joint meeting with OSAC, and we wanted to keep the meeting very specific on the conversation that we're going to continue this evening. And really our goal tonight is to prepare and draft a work plan for City Council. And that's really what our main focuses are now. So that way we can have that connection with council and really focus what we're trying to do this evening to prepare and get ready for that joint special meeting that we're going to have with City Council.
Okay, but Director Akita, I note that on page 5 of our agenda, right between management and staff reports and adjournment, it does say commissioner comments and future items for consideration.
That was for the minutes because you guys did comment. You guys did have those. You did do that even though it wasn't on the agenda. Is that why you put that in there? Because the agenda, we didn't have that on the agenda, but it was brought up during the meeting.
I see it there. I see it written there. So
I say something? Really respectfully, Director Akita, this is a perfect time for us to bring events that are going on in the community. And so I'm with Commissioner Mamarel. I don't know.
No, I understand. And we can definitely talk about that later. And I can bring that up because I understand there's going to be a process moving forward for that too. And I don't really understand what that process fully is, how we're going to move that forward with updates. To my understanding, it's going to align with what City Council does, where they submit things ahead of time to the meeting versus talking about it during the meeting.
Yeah, but also respectfully, when it comes to what our memories are and what is written down on the paper, it's as a general practice, it's best to rely on what is written down. And I just clearly see on page 5, it's there.
Part of the minutes, correct?
Right.
That's the minutes, yeah. So those are action minutes. That's taking note of what happened at the last meeting. Right. But if you look at the agenda that we had published for the joint OSAC meeting that we had back in April, we did not have comments on there. It was specifically just to further the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And I do believe it's within our purview to request at the at the agenda change item of this meeting to place in commissioner comments and future items for consideration.
We can absolutely do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Can I
then-
make a move to add that item?
Do we need to move that? Director Aikida, do we need to make a motion to add that?
I'm going to defer to Liz on that one. Liz, is it a motion?
Yes.
Okay, can I motion to add the commissioner comments to our agenda today?
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Einberger, because we are conducting the meeting via Zoom, we need to do a roll call.
It needs to be a roll call this evening.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm gonna
This
switch
is a
computers
virtual
as soon as we
meeting.
get through
Okay,
this. Commissioner Mamero,
Aye.
Commissioner Margolotti,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Vice Chair Servente,
Aye.
and Chair Einberger.
aye. Okay, so the motion passes. The next thing is the consent calendar of April 6th. Any changes to that, or anyone have anything to add or change? Or would you like to make a motion to accept?
Motion to accept?
The second,
I'll second.
so a roll call again.
Yes, Commissioner Griggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Mamero,
Aye.
Commissioner Margolotti,
Aye.
Vice Chair Servente,
Aye.
and Chair Einberger.
And aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Liz. So I think at this point, I should turn it over to Director Aikida for the for what we're going to work on tonight.
Thank you, Chair. So this evening, before we get started, I just wanted to kind of recap what we've continued the conversation of where we started this journey 2 meetings ago with OSAC. Our intent is to make sure that we understand the baseline and the foundation of this conversation and really understand what the driving force of that is, and that is to create a connection with City Council. As you can see in the staff report, we've outlined, the main goal here is to connect with the City Council because they've asked for that connection, and to provide that way they can provide direction and feedback to these advisory committees and commissions that they are in essence an arm of them. So part of the staff report is you'll see just the outline of the organization and your history of PCS and how it was established here in American Canyon. Some guidelines that are, I guess, our foundation of what outlines what this advisory body is. And then it gets into more of the what is considered a Citizens Advisory Committee. And really, if you look, the pyramid, which is the triangle, which is our roadmap of everything that the city does, it outlines the organization and ourselves with our mission, vision, and values, and then goes into goals, strategies, key initiatives, and tasks. The role, and then it goes into our role, the city manager, city council, the mayor, and citizen advisory committees. The understanding that the citizen advisory committees are weighing in on policy matters and versus operational tasks. So part of the packet, you also received a work plan that was developed. I'm not quite sure, but it looks like it was discussed at a PCS meeting back in October 2020. And so really it's just to understand what's the difference between a policy-making task and what is a day-to-day task or an operational task. And the difference between the two. And, as an example, we look at the day-to-day task of talking about, more swimming lessons. Like we need to have more swim lessons versus we need to create a general master plan for the city. So it's just, we're trying to just understand what the differences are. So I just want to check in with this body and make sure that we all have a good understanding of where this conversation started and where we're continuing to go. I believe we are all on the same page. I believe we're there, but I just want to make sure that the foundation is there before we move forward with our next task that we're going to do this evening.
Okay, sorry, I had to get up there. So, yeah, Commissioner Mamrell. I think, at this point, we'll just open it up and start our discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. But just a quick clarification. I see that David Parnell is on here. But he didn't provide any public comments, so I just wanted to clarify who David Parnell was. That's all.
He is part of our IT.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for checking.
Yeah. He's supposed to be here. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess at this point we should just open it up. And I'm sorry I missed part of what you said, Director Akita, but open it up for our work plan. Is that?
No, I'm just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page of how we got here, like the last two meetings and the foundation, if we're all on the same page of really what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to accomplish. The City Council has expressed to the city manager that they want more of a connection with their advisory bodies. And, that connection is to help provide, get feedback and provide direction to those advisory bodies so that way we can work together with the staff. And I just went over the staff report of what was presented as part of the agenda this evening and wanted to make sure that if we needed to touch on anything before we move forward with the main goal tonight, which is to draft a work plan for fiscal year 22-23 for council to review and approve at an upcoming special joint council and PCS meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. Sorry.
You're welcome.
So does anyone need any clarification or have any comments before we get started? Commissioner Margolotti?
I'm just wondering, and maybe it will be in the next step. I understand everything leading up to. When we're talking about developing a plan, I thought I understood from all the previous discussions that City Council would be giving us what direction they wanted us to work on versus the opposite. So maybe I misunderstood something from previous discussion. So I think I'll clarify that.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a fluid conversation. This is going to be a beginning of a conversation with council. One of the main things that I think, and in no fault of any of yours, this really there's just been a disconnect with this body and City Council and really not fully understanding what's been going on within the department, right? And so I think their main goal is to have that connection and really get back to the root of why this committee was, why this commission was established. And that was to provide advice to City Council. So what we're trying to do is, we have this work plan that was drafted in October 2020. And it's a very extensive work plan. And, what things within that work plan do we want to try to be a part of this coming year? Because when you look at the guidelines that outline the role of PCS, it does state that PCS will draft a work plan, which will then be presented to City Council for review and approval. And that discussion will evolve into, what are the resources that are needed? Do we have the funding to support that? Is this align with our mission, vision, and values? Is this something that we want staff to focus on? So it's more of kind of starting that conversation and getting your guys' opinion and feedback, since you've been on this body and you kind of know where we were and where we want to go possibly, and provide that expertise and advice to council. And so the idea is that you guys would take that work plan and understand what is considered, you know, try to look at, filter out what is a policy making task versus what is an operational day-to-day task, and really focus on the policy driven tasks, and create a work plan that we could present as part of the fiscal year, because each year, you know, the best time to do that would be meeting and getting in front with council in May prior to June. So that way they can have those discussions. That work plan can be a part of the budget conversation, and then they can allocate resources if needed, if that's something they want to focus on. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Oh, you're, Chair
Yes.
Einberger, you're on mute. Oh, you're back on mute.
Commissioner Riggs.
Thank you, Chair Einberger. Okay, so I'm really trying to follow along here. I swear I am. And I've even got some extra caffeine to help me. But it is all as completely clear as mud right now, like mud, like a Calistoga mud bath clear. So the only thing that seems at all clear is that PCS will be moving more towards policy making recommendations and away from day-to-day operational tasks. But it would help me a lot if you could give us several examples of what would fall under those categories, so that then I can sort of divide out in my mind what we'll be focusing on and what we will no longer be involved with.
Absolutely. So if you guys want to turn to the attachment with the work plan that was provided in your packet, you'll notice there's several things that have already been completed, but just for an example, like a day-to-day task would be senior center programming, right? So providing input on the type of programming. That's not really policy driven. That's more day-to-day. Yes, you absolutely, you're going to get comments from the community, and we want to hear those comments.
Can you tell me what page you're on? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Page 20.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
Not a problem. You know, live music performances, that's not really a policy driven task. That's more day to day. After school sports, you know, continuing ongoing partnerships with ACLL, ACYF. So like there's a lot of stuff that's in here that's day-to-day operations that have been tasked by professional staff to be able to accomplish that. And in essence, you know, I take direction from the city council, from the city manager, which in turn gets his direction from city council. And absolutely, it is super important that we are well connected and well rooted with our community. We need to understand what their wants, what their needs are, so we can better serve them and try to meet those expectations. I'll take the playground comment. That's a beautiful way of hearing from our community of the wants and needs that they want to see in this community. And I think that's something we need to be able to hear. But that would not be a discussion in regards to, we're going to do a park replacement and make them all inclusive. That isn't policy driven. We can create, you know, we can probably create more of a park master plan, which says anytime we update a park, our goal is inclusivity, you know, multi-generational. It needs to have natural elements. Like we can create that in a policy document that is a document that helps staff understand what the wants and needs are of the community. So when we look at policy making tasks, I'm talking about, you know, the fee philosophy, the parks master plan, the comprehensive general plan update, like the Clark master plan. Those are policy driven documents. Those are documents that are that directs staff and what needs to be done here moving forward, versus let's have a conversation about all the senior programming that's going on. Or, you know, if we want to put in pickleball courts. So does that answer your question, Gina?
It does, and it leads me to another question. Oftentimes these wonderful visionary master plans and policies and sort of bigger ideas, bigger concepts also involve more dollars. And so a big thing for me, as far as being part of this commission and being an advocate for my community members and representing as well as I possibly can, is to bring those things to fruition. So my follow-up question to that is, will we be involved with the budget as far as if we present a master plan or involved in a master plan, will we even know if that is possible based on the current budget and the current allocation of funds? Because I do not want to end up in a situation where we develop a master plan and it sits there for a decade because it was never fiscally possible in the first place.
So the part of this conversation, you know, the reason why we're creating a work plan is to get in front of council and really understand what, you know, let me take 2 steps back. Council has a bucket of things, right? Like they have a to-do list that's ginormous, right? And then PCS fits in that bucket, the Planning Commission and OSAC fits in that bucket, right? So when they oversee these advisory committees, you know, the goal is that they know what's going on, right? They know what work is going to be done because in essence that impacts the staff. So if like this document that was created back in October 2020, this wasn't discussed with City Council, they had no idea staff were doing this. And then you can imagine this is happening over here with OSAC, right? They have a to-do list over here. City Council doesn't know. And then you have the staff that are in turn taking direction from City Council, which is from the city manager, taking direction from the city manager, which is in connection with the City Council. It can get really chaotic and confusing. And really those 2 plans, they aren't budgeted. They don't have staff time allocated to them. They don't have resources allocated to them. So in essence, the resources that are being used on them are being taken away from the direction that City Council is tasking the city manager. So to answer your question, the goal here is to create a draft work plan, and based off of policy-driven tasks, I've just outlined things that I know that is on my to-do list as your Parks and Recreation Director that has been identified that the city would like to have accomplished. And we present that work plan to the City Council, and then that's where they allocate the funds. That's where they allocate the resources. They can sit there and say, you know what, you know, you're doing this over here for OSAC. We just don't see, you know, ABC feasible. However, we see CDE feasible. So it's understanding what both bodies are doing. So that way City Council can make smart decisions and allocate appropriately. So staff aren't spread too thin and that staff feels supported, and that way we can accomplish, right? Like I don't want to disappoint this community. It is my goal. I'm a people pleaser. I want to try to do the best for this community, do the best for City Council, and do the best for our city manager. You know, again, I take direction from him, and he ultimately has to answer to City Council when things don't get done. So the last thing I want to do is have a work plan that hasn't been reviewed or approved by City Council, and we don't have the resources, and we have no way of getting this done, and now it's not being accomplished. So long story short, the goal is to provide a draft work plan that we feel we can accomplish within this budget year. We present it to City Council, and then they in turn will say, yes, we want to do this. Here are your resources, or maybe we can do this. You know, what considerations do we need to take to accomplish this? Or no, we don't want to do this. We want to do something else. And that's how the budgeting is going to work. That's how we're going to get funding. That's how we're going to get resources.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That helps a lot. And then my next two follow-ups to that, and then I'll let somebody else go here. I don't want to completely monopolize, would be who would be determining the prioritization of those items, because obviously there's only so many funds. And then the second question would be, it sounds like this also perhaps involves the dissolution of all of the subcommittees, because there have been too many working silos and not enough cross communication. Because there have been subcommittees formed every time there's been a policy making issue or a master plan. And then it seems like the decisions are being made by a very small group and then nothing happens.
So to answer your first questions, City Council will provide that direction, and they will be setting the work plans. That's what they do for all the staff. That's their job, is to provide direction to the city manager, and the city manager executes that with the professional staff. I don't know the answer to the subcommittees. That is something I can look into. I know with these type of things, for me, you know, we do have, like, I've identified like the fee philosophy, the park master plan, the Clark Ranch master plan. Those are all things that I've been made aware of, that is on my to-do list as your Parks and Recreation Director. And those are policy driven items. And that, you know, that's where we feel that you can come in and help shape that and guide that and provide advice to City Council on how to implement it and execute it. Because again, this is an advice making body. You provide advice to City Council, and City Council can either listen to that advice, or they can, you know, listen to the community. Like, they have many different people that are providing advice to them, or opinions, right? So they have to be able to filter through all of that. But this is their professional body that is an extension of them, that they rely on to help make those decisions and form this department. So that way they can help shape the future of this department with the staff and allocating resources and making sure that we can execute things that this community wants.
Thank you.
So I understand. So we're an advice-making body. I still think that it gets a little muddy with policy, because it seems to me, in terms of the senior center, that helping to create a senior center that's really more in keeping with the needs of the community, that's a policy. I mean, to me, that sounds like a policy. It's not, you know, the nuts and bolts of how that's going to happen. You know, I can see that staff, that's operational, but to create something, you know, to create a senior center, because that comes into getting the name, maybe expanding the, you know, going next door and redoing that center. So a lot of things come into it. So it seems to me that is policy.
Sure, you can have tasks that may on the surface appear to be operational, but in turn can be policy driven. You know, exactly like what you said, right? Like, if we want to have, again, I'm trying to think of an example for you. Let's take the, again, we'll go back to the park master plan. I think that's the best example. You know, that's really going to shape the direction of this department, right? Like, it really identifies the type of facilities we have. It identifies, you know, the type of use that we want to use with those facilities. It may not get down into the nitty gritty of operations, but it does outline the use. It does outline, you know, if there's a need, you hear that, you know, we need to have a facility, I'm just gonna use an example. So this is not anything that I'm thinking, but if you want to do, if somebody wants a facility where they could do underwater basket weaving, what does that look like? That's a day-to-day task to implementing it. But if we've never had anything like that, and there's some sort of policy around that to shape that, that could be something that you could add on to the work plan. And again, you can build your work plan and you can put that on there, and then we present it to city council, and then they in turn will say, this looks great. I think we can do this. I think this looks appropriate. Yes, we want to do this. No, this is not our focus for this year. Like, they get to make that decision. So really it's understanding that, there is going to be this transition from what we were doing over the past couple of years, which is more the day-to-day operations of things, and trying to get back into that advice making arena, and understanding that this body doesn't make decisions, city council makes decisions. And so that really, you provide advice, expertise and advice. That's why you're on this committee, to help provide parks and recreation expertise and advice to city council on things that you think this community wants. You're muted.
Commissioner Mamrell, did you have something? I caught you with your mouth full. Sorry.
Actually, I think I'll hold off until Commissioner Cervente has a chance to make her comment. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Cervente.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so I've seen this the work plan items. We've seen that before, but it just seemed I'm trying to. So my question is this just an example, or you're actually basing our plan on these items? That's my first question.
So this is just an example of what was created in October 2020 that has not yet been approved by City Council.
Right. Okay. So we can add or subtract from it, correct?
Correct. Your goal, one of our goals tonight, if we get there, again, we don't have to do it this evening. We can always discuss it and maybe think about it and come back and develop a work plan. But the task that we've been given is to create a work plan that is policy driven.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm really concerned, and it has to do with policy, is that over many years, we have had ad hoc committees that, for these wonderful spaces, like, for example, Clark Ranch, and then there's a couple of other areas that need that is on the works or on the wish list, if you want to put it that way, but there's no money. And then I've been asking staff for many years to finish the parks that we have and to fix the parks that we have. So I would really like to put that in that list. I don't see it anywhere. Veterans Park is a perfect example of that. The park has not been finished. If we get to that, I would like to have that addition that, instead of, getting all these plans for items that we don't have money for, that we should actually work on the ones that we have, like retrofit some of them to for our members of our community that are not able to use a swing. A perfect example was my son had to advocate and talk to road and talk to city council, and it took a year for one swing to be fixed. here on a local park. So it just seems like, you know, so anyway, so that's what I'm striving for, because that is clearly policy driven.
Updating a park is policy driven. Is that what you're, what would be the policy around updating the park?
Finishing the parks is policy driven.
So when we think about policy, it's more of, you know, like, let's just say like a refund policy. I'm just going to very basic, right? This is our policy on refunds. We have, people are allowed to cancel class up to 7 days prior to a class. They get a full refund minus the $10. That's the policy versus updating the park, which could be outlined as deferred maintenance. That's where I would see it would be a great opportunity for us to empower our community to go through the proper channels and communicate that to the city council. And the best way to do that is to go to a city council meeting, or even notifying city staff that this needs to happen. Because every year we do work on a CIP budget where we identify what needs to be either improved or taken care of. And that's really where we want to encourage the community to reach out to city staff, the city manager, and really advocate for what they want to see. We do have an avenue for people to be able to express areas that they would like to see improved throughout the community. But I'm just trying to understand how that would be policy.
Well, have you been to Veterans Park?
Yes.
Okay, so you know that between the bocce courts and the playground, there's a huge chunk of undeveloped parkland. That's what I mean, it's not finished. The community garden could go there. I have talked to city council about it, because it will serve the east side of our city. The Las Casitas housing is right in front of that area, so they would have easy access to get a garden a plot, and then also for all the neighborhoods on the east side, especially the American Canyon Road mobile homes. So I just want to be clear to council and to staff that, you know, we can't go and build or plan to build another park when the ones that we have are not finished.
So that's where I would, again, that is where I would empower our community to reach out to the city manager or to city staff and express that, and go through the proper channels of expressing that to city council.
Yeah, we have, and it's been brought up in this commission many times, many meetings. So I just wanted to put on the work plan, be part of the work plan.
Okay, sure. And I would like to get back, when I think about it, to the woman who spoke about inclusivity. And I can see, you know, creating, creating swings, creating playgrounds, you know, that is operational. But I think the policy, I mean, is that it's really imperative to meet the needs of not only children and adults with disabilities. And to me, that's a policy. We have to do that.
That's a great example, Chair. It's taking a comment that we received from the community and really understanding, you know, what their wants and needs are. And, you know, we'll talk about the per capita program right now, where we have the 3 playground projects that our intent is to replace them, right? You know, that's more operational, where staff is going to be working with the contractor and replacing it and getting it done and getting it executed. But when you talk about what is our philosophy behind replacing playgrounds? Do you just replace like for like? Or do we consider, new things like making sure that it's inclusive to everyone within American Canyon? Does it meet a multi-generational community? Can you have a toddler, which my daughter would be right up there with my 11-year-old, going down a massive slide? Like, can you envision a multi-generational equipment? Is it accessible? Would you consider, yes, the wood chips are ADA accessible, but is it really functional? Does it function for the needs that you're trying to do here? So that's more policy driven. That's more, you're creating that foundation so that staff can, if there is this project, we know we need to replace these 3 parks. Is the advice of this body to just say, you're going to replace like for like? Or do we want to establish a foundation moving forward, because we know that these are 3 parks of maybe 15 that need to be replaced in the next 5 years? Do we want to set the standard and the policy of what staff should be considering when they're looking at these projects to fit these needs of the community? So that's what I mean by taking more of an operational task and understanding that there may be a policy element that's associated with that, where you guys absolutely would provide advice to the city council.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Other comments? Okay, so
I think Commissioner Mammarell and Commissioner Margolotti both have their hands raised. I don't know if you can see those.
Oh, I couldn't see Commissioner Mammarell. So you want to go ahead, Commissioner Mammarell, and then Commissioner Margolotti?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as an overall process suggestion to follow at your discretion, and for efficiency and basically not to recreate the wheel, it might be good to review and update the 2020-2021 work plan. Most of us were actually here for that. And my other suggestion based on this conversation is that we definitely filter the old work plan items with is this a policy or is this an operational filter? Just to help move things along.
That's actually what I was going to suggest as well. So I'm sure we could continue to discuss, but that is what I was going to say as well, that it might be process-wise and efficient use of our time to go through the list and decide that as well.
Great. Does that sound good to everyone? Okay. So we'll start on that. The first one is the Senior Center programming. Continue to develop, evolve the senior multi-use center space and programming. And again, like Director Aikita said, a lot of that is operational, but as I mentioned earlier, for me to help create a more a senior center more in keeping with the needs of the community. And then again, how we do that, we can make suggestions, but it's more operational. We expand hours, we change the name, do all sorts of things, but really the policy is to change it so that it meets the needs of the entire community, or senior community, I should say. Thoughts?
Chair Einberger, just a question. When you talk about developing the senior center, are you referring to like a new center, expanding on the center? Like,
no, yeah, I'm not talking about physical space, although that's operational and that would be nice too. But I'm just talking about the senior center as it is, making it, it's a little bit like the inclusivity that we were just talking about, so that it's more inclusive to seniors, you know, from 50 to 100, and what that would look like, what would need to happen in order for that to take place. So no, it's just I guess it's creating something that's different than what it is, but not in physical space, just in philosophy, I think.
Okay.
Madam Chair, it might be helpful to perhaps like just articulate what is the policy with regard to the senior center. You mentioned, my takeaway from what you said is the senior center policy is to create an inclusive, I don't know, activity-driven space for American Canyon residents from ages 55 to 100.
Yes.
That's probably a policy. What we don't do is say that, you know, you're going to have this program, or it's going to have this name, etc. You know. Right.
I mean, and I don't know. So, Director Akita, can we make that as a part of a work plan, and then make suggestions on? I mean, I know the name change has been in the works. Well, certainly longer than I've been on this body, for almost 6 years, and so it just hasn't happened, which is. I mean, and I know it finally is in the works.
So I think I'm following you. However, I think there might be a better way of packaging it.
Okay.
So we have this lovely thing called the Parks and Community Services Master Plan. I have not fully read it. I'm disclosing that. However, it does outline the definition of the programs and services that we provide. And I think that is where we could take this as a whole. This would be your work plan as updating this, because this is policy. This is what is the foundation for our department. It outlines the type of programs that we offer. It aligns with the city's mission, vision, and values. It talks about our standards, access, accessibility. I think what you're talking about with the adult activity center, because you're not just dealing with seniors, you're dealing with adults from all different ranges. And, you know, you want to make sure that the programming that we provide is diverse to the community that we have here for all adults here in American Canyon. And I think we can absolutely update this park and community services master plan and include that, because, you know, seniors, you know, 10 years ago may have been the appropriate word. I have friends that are in there who would qualify as a senior, and they don't like being called a senior. They want to be called an active adult. So maybe this is a time to identify that change and that need within updating the Parks and Community Services Master Plan. And that is policy.
Okay.
I tend to think that is a perfect first item, because a lot of the things on the old work plan are gonna flow and make a lot more sense if we update the Parks and Community Services Master Plan.
Yeah, I think so too. Unfortunately, I don't know if anyone has that in front of them, but I mean, do we need to look at that before we move forward?
No, I think what we can do is we can talk about this work plan, because like I said, we have an item in here like senior center where you find there is a value where we can create, you know, update that, right? Update our goal here, and we can link it back to the community services master plan. I don't think this work plan is that far off. I think just really nailing down what we're trying to do here and get it back to policy versus operational. You know, fitness and wellness, that's part of this. I mean, that's, you know, the type of programming that we offer. We want it to, you know, we want to be able to offer a diverse fitness and wellness program. I see that being in there. I see, expanding use, pickleball, pickleball's up and running, every time we resurface a tennis court, do we consider multi-striping it for multiple uses? So we can have a court that is not just for one sport, but you can have it be utilized by multiple sports, futsal, pickleball, tennis. Those are things that seem operational on based off of this work plan, but we can package it into updating the Parks and Community Services master plan and work on updating that with what you guys see as your vision of where we want to take this department and how we're going to meet this community's needs.
Okay.
Live music and performance. I mean, I know that's important is in incorporating cultural arts.
Director Akita, I have a question about the master plan. Is it all inclusive? So I know, for instance, like you said that you have been tasked with fee philosophy policy, Clark Ranch master plan, and a park master plan. Are those things included in the PCS master plan, or?
They're all separate. So they would be all separate documents. So naturally, I wouldn't want that all in my work plan for 1 year because that would be a very huge undertaking. But again, I take direction from City Council. So if that is something that we put on your guys' work plan for this next year, they're going to have to evaluate that based off of what they want to see for this next year and see if it's feasible and if they can allocate the necessary resources to accomplish it. Because they would be all separate documents.
So does it make sense for us to include all of that on the work plan and ask and take that to City Council and ask them what they want us to prioritize? And then based on their recommendation for prioritization, we make a work plan for the next 3 years, say, for instance?
I mean, we can absolutely, again, this is just a draft that you're taking to City Council to get their feedback because they're going to review it and see if this is something that could be accomplished. Every year, my goal is that we will have this conversation and you guys will have FaceTime with City Council to outline your work plan that aligns with the budget. So that way we can make sure that we have the resources allocated to accomplish that work plan. That is my goal every single year, is to make sure that we are connected with City Council and that they are able to provide direction and feedback to this body.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do we just want to go down the list then next to fitness and wellness?
Well, Madam Chair, maybe just to clarify the master plan item, the first item on our work plan draft is review and document the Parks and Community Services master plan for approval by City Council.
Yeah. Is that accurate, Director?
Oh, what I would say is update the current Parks and Community Services master plan to be more relevant and to meet our community's needs based off of where we are at with this department. So I would just say update the current Parks and Community master plan. I would just keep it very simple because there is a lot in here. And I don't even know if all this information it needs to be in here. I don't know. It's 159 pages. So.
Yeah. Point taken. Council may, I guess it depends on them, but they may not want to
correct
have that on their plate.
They may not want to do that this year. They may have something else that they want to do instead.
Right. But our suggestion, right? But our suggestion for the work plan is simply update the update it.
Yes.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay, and then Director Akita. So, as far as the senior center programming, I think you put that in there? I mean, are you rephrase that as part of our work plan?
Well, I would encompass that into the master plan, because the way that it's written right here, it's more operational. And what I would just include that when we're working through the master plan and we get to the opportunity to give the definition of the types of programs and services that we offer, that we include active adults, and what our goals are to serve the active adult community here in American Canyon.
Okay.
So I'm just going to give you, so I'm just going to read it, read one very, just kind of what I'm thinking. So for recreation, we have adult sports. It says the city shall enhance the adult sports program to provide opportunities for adult basketball, softball, and volleyball. That really doesn't picture what we're trying to do here, right? Like, we're trying to provide inclusive sports programs that can, with a wide variety, that meet the needs of this community. So it's an opportunity for you to look at each of these definitions and understand if this definition is something that fits with us right now, or if it needs to be improved, or if it works. But there is one for senior programs. The city shall utilize the Senior Multi-Use Center as a one-stop shop in American Canyon for not only a wide variety of recreational opportunities, but also social services and senior residents.
Yeah.
So that's where it's policy, right? Like, you're not sitting here saying
exactly.
Yeah. You're setting the standard of what type of programming you want at that facility.
All right.
Okay.
So good.
That could be the second item then on our work plan, right?
I would think that it would fall under just the Parks and Community Services master plan, because it's all encompassing.
I think, if I'm understanding correctly, the work plan item that reads update PCS master plan basically includes everything that's inside this green box.
It could. It absolutely could.
I mean, everything that you just read, aside from the CEC committee, is what's on this list.
Yes, because the things that are on this list look more operational versus policy.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. I agree 100%. Honestly, I would love to just have that be the first one, fee philosophy be the second one, Clark Ranch be the third one, Park Master Plan be the fourth one, throw it to council and see what they want us to spend our time and what they want to spend the community's money on. And then we work on what the priorities are and really put it out to the community to come to council, that this is going to be presented to, if they want to have a say, if they want to have a voice, we need to hear from them, and to come to the meeting and to speak on which of these items is most important to our community members, because that's our purpose. If we don't hear from the community members on what matters to them, council can't determine what's important to the community. It's just the five of us deciding.
Can you repeat those things? So Senior Center, Clark Ranch.
Oh, so Senior Center would not be a separate item. It would be part of the update PCS master plan.
Yeah.
Fee philosophy, I don't know if you want to say policy, master plan, whatever that might be. Update Clark Ranch master plan and Park master plan. And they're all policy driven. Like, for instance, in the Park master plan, it would be like 30% of the parks within the city limits of American Canyon need to be all inclusive. So that is a standard and a policy that we then have to adhere to by 2030, 30% of American Canyon city parks are 100% inclusive, with terrain that is, wheelchair accessible, et cetera, whatever we want it to say. So policy driven. So we're not saying where that park is going to be, what it's going to look like. We're not picking out the design. We're not meeting with contractors. We're not putting it out to bid. We're just saying we want it to exist. And this is the policy to state that it needs to benefit our community. That is where I'm at with the understanding of what we're supposed to be doing here. but I could be off.
Actually, yeah, Commissioner Griggs, that sounds pretty inclusive. I would add partnership to that list, partnership.
Yes.
Partnership development and policies. You know, vis-a-vis.
Are you talking about partnership with local nonprofits?
That's correct.
Partner, and I would include NBUSD. So when we're talking about after school sports, I would include partnership with local nonprofits and with NBUSD, so that the three bodies, the city, the nonprofits, and the school district can work together to the highest benefit of our community members without working in silos, doing the same thing, not offering enough, offering too much, not having good registration, et cetera. So we're all kind of coming together to say, and again, policy. So like, this is the part that the city is going to do. This is the part that NBUSD is going to do, whether we break it out by percentages or what, but we're not tasking anything. We're just saying, this is the level of responsibility that each of those entities need to take with regard to events, et cetera.
Right. It needs to happen, sure.
Oh yeah, in complete agreement, Commissioner Griggs.
So do people see other things on this 2021 work plan that wouldn't fall under any of those things that we think are really important?
Yeah. I would say recreation access just in general, not just, I know it says wetlands, restoration, reclamation, and recreation access, but just recreation access as in general for the whole city, not just the wetlands.
This is where we run into a little bit of a challenge not having OSAC here, because it's my understanding that that would be something that OSAC would be taking on fully and completely. And that is not part of PCS really at all.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless you're talking about playground.
Exactly.
Specifically, not necessarily open space access.
Exactly.
Well, it's, you know, our area would be accessibility and inclusivity for parks, playgrounds, and events.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, those accessibility, I mean, inclusivity, those keep coming up in everything we're talking.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
that's why I said recreation access, not necessarily being wetlands or reclamation or new, but as a just that word just resonates with a lot of things, and really OSAC is, you know, not part of it, I don't feel.
If I may interrupt, part of the current Parks and Community Services Master Plan does have a paragraph about access and the type of access. And so that's an opportunity for us to take a look at that and see if that meets our current environment. So I think access would fall underneath that. And then Gina, going back to the Parks Master Plan, are you thinking that would be a completely separate master plan than the current PCS master plan?
Well, that was just what you had said earlier, that those are three things that you had been tasked with this year.
So I think it's supposed to be the comprehensive general plan, because I have the fee philosophy parks, and I did say Parks Master Plan. So I think I was referencing this one. So the PCS. So I'll just get rid of the additional Parks Master Plan.
It honestly sounds like we could work on the PCS Master Plan for the next 18 months and not run out of things to do. If I'm
honest. It's pretty comprehensive. I think it's definitely talking about all the things that is important to you guys about access and inclusivity, as well as like our facilities, our nonprofits, landscape and lighting districts, parks and facility user fees. It just has a little blurb, but it definitions for programs and services, open space and trails are in this too. So I think there's an opportunity to kind of look at this and possibly update it.
Yeah, and maybe an opportunity to take some things out as well.
Yeah,
Like it might be beneficial to have the fee philosophy policy be separate and not be part of that, because we don't want to get ourselves in a position of having to update something that's 159 pages to change one line of a fee philosophy.
yes, absolutely.
I agree too. I don't think we I don't know about the community grants. Is this like the grants that we used to, that the community used to apply for, or actually getting a grant for a project? I would like a little bit of clarification on that. It's on page 25 during priority projects, community grants. We used to award, or we used to award grants to community folks in town long time ago. But also there's supposed to be a position that that applies for grants. So where are we on that? Are we going to continue doing community grants or not?
Commissioner Cervente, I read that as the community grants were the ones that we awarded as a body for people that applied. And that's going to be distinct from community, like that's going to be distinct from grant writing, which is, you know, staff, which is staff driven. I suppose that our policy item is whether we continue with the processing and awarding of community grants.
Right. Yeah. And given the budget, you know, do we want to prioritize that really for a work plan? Excuse me, for us the next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is just my opinion, but in my mind, the other items that we discussed earlier at this meeting are higher priority than the community grants.
I think so too. And we could maybe put that on a future work plan. So does any of you see anything that would not be included in what Gina was talking about that you really think should be included in the next year?
Let's see. Review and revise community garden program policies. Perhaps creating another garden. I'm going through the list.
Yeah, is that happening, or has a policy been made there, Director?
No.
We have a handbook that is designed to outline our rules and regulations for our community gardeners. We know that we need to update that.
So would that be also policy?
I would think that would be more operational.
Because that's the word policy on it. So
yeah, it is more operational as it stands right now, because it's just the rules and regulations for the current community gardeners to abide by while they're participating in that program.
Okay, so maybe change the wording, right? So we don't have
Well, I can't change this because this is a staff report from 2020. So it's published the way that it is. Yeah. But we don't have to include it on our work plan for this coming fiscal year.
And then So the other one that says create a sign display process policy, is that, do we do that too? I'm just going through the list because it says policy.
It may say policy, but at least in my mind, that
Okay.
smells
Well,
operational.
I'm not asking just for asking. I just want
Right. No,
clarification.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, unless we want to establish as a, you know, as a recommendation, input on facilities and event policy. In my mind, probably not, but that's, you know, that's up to the other, that's up to, you know, that's up to all of us.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to have our hands full from those things that we've already talked about.
Yeah, I agree with the events. I think that's, the events are for staff. They know what they're capable of doing. They've been really vocal about how sometimes too many events are very, put a toll on their staff. So yeah, that should just be staff driven. They know what they can handle.
You know, I do want to just put on record that it's well taken that, you know, this, as Director Aikita said, that this, you know, this work plan from 2020 to 2021, and as Commissioner Griggs also alluded to, this is super muddy. This is from years of our commission and staff, I would say working well together, but also getting into the weeds of things. You know, we were, you know, I want to acknowledge, we were choosing the color of the china versus setting policy. So this direction is appreciated, and I'm feeling very, very good about this.
And I want to add, you know, I do not want this conversation, and I know Jason doesn't want this conversation to diminish anything that you guys have done over the last couple of years. Your hard work and dedication is appreciated. Your constant support of our staff and our department is, I don't even think I can put words to it other than we're very grateful and thankful that we have such passionate commissioners standing behind us, advocating for us and cheering us on, especially during some of the most challenging times with the climate of the world and some of the things that we face as a city. And I really want you to know that we're very grateful that we have all of you here that want to continue that partnership and relationship. And I'm very excited about our future together. I'm very excited about us accomplishing some pretty hefty things that I think that are critical to our department for us to be able to set the foundation and to propel us to move forward, continue to move forward. And I just really want you to know that all of your hard work and dedication is not going unnoticed. We are super grateful for that. And we want to be able to just have that connection with council, be able to be a functional working body, and have a manageable workload that we know we can accomplish things together. And we're not disappointing the community, and we're not, you know, saying that we're going to do something and we don't get to it. I think that's probably the worst thing that all of us don't want to do. And I think having a manageable workload and supporting one another and accomplishing some amazing things is our goal here. But I really want you all to know that we're very grateful for all of your hard work and dedication that you've provided to this commission and to the city and to this community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Very kind words. And I agree with Clarence. I think I feel really good about this, and it's good to move forward. So where do we go from here then? Do you have, Director, do you have what you need, what you want from us?
I think so. Let me just read back through the list just so I'm clear. We have number 1 is being the Parks and Community Services, the update to the Parks and Community Services Master Plan. We have the fee philosophy, the Clark Ranch Master Plan, and then the NVUSD and nonprofit partnership development and policies. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Was there anything else?
Unless we don't want to meet again until 2030 and just keep working on all of it.
I do want to just let you know, we do not have a date set yet for the joint special meeting with City Council. I think it's going to be really difficult for us to get in front of them before July. So I don't want you to think that, that this is not going to happen. It is our goal to try to do some sort of special joint meeting in July. They do go on recess, I believe, the second week of June, and they don't come back until the first week, until after July 4th, I think is what it is. So we most likely will put this together. We'll draft a staff plan with your, we'll draft a staff report with your work plan, and that will be presented to City Council at that joint special meeting.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean that we won't meet until that time as a body?
I'm not quite sure. I don't know the answer to that, Chair. I can follow up with Jason and let you all know if we're going to have a meeting in June. But I'm not quite sure what the answer to that is.
Okay.
Director Akita, I think that we agreed on our calendar that we would not meet in July. I don't think we have a July meeting on our calendar. I think there are lots of us that aren't available. So before we start talking about July, I wanted to bring that up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I had my hand up because of that too. Traditionally, we never met on July. Okay. Especially because staff is so busy with one of the biggest events, which is 4th of July Festival. So yeah, I already made my plans and I won't be around. So
right.
Just to be mindful also, if we're gonna meet with OSAC, I just heard that they met for 4.5 hours. So if we meet with them in June, I just want if that can be conveyed, that some of us work for, a lot of us work, but some of us work for the schools. So schools will be out on the 15th. And so if it's during a school night, I would hate to be on the meeting for 6 hours. So I'm just saying.
Okay, but you'll let us know, Director.
Yeah. So OSAC has their joint special meeting with City Council scheduled for May 31st. They will not be meeting on June 1st. We're going to wait to get direction from Council because that's when they're going to present their draft work plan. And then, like I mentioned, Council is going to be pretty busy, and then they're going to take their break. So we probably, I'll check with Jason to see if we're going to have a meeting from now and in June, if we need to meet. Okay. And do you guys feel like you need to meet in June?
I personally would prefer to meet in June, not a long meeting at all, but just Director Akita, you're going to be the one drafting the work plan to Council. I'd kind of like to read through that together as a commission and talk about how we're going to present it, primarily because we're going to seem extraordinarily overzealous presenting this annual work plan in August. So I'd like to present it in a way that they would direct us with the priority they want us to focus on for the rest of this year, and then maybe consider rolling the rest of that work plan over into the following year.
Yeah, I too, I think it would be good to meet in June.
Okay. So
Um,
Liz, what would be that meeting date?
I think is what we currently have
Okay.
calendared.
Okay.
Yeah, we have it.
And hopefully that one will be in person.
Hopefully. So any other comments?
I'm just really proud that our work plan is straightforward and short.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm really happy it's before 8 o'clock and we're done.
Almost.
Because a 6-hour meeting seems really scary. I mean, not done, but you know.
Okay, so I think we voted at the beginning on having commissioner comments, and I need to excuse myself for a couple minutes, so I will be back. But Karina, if you want to take over.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chair. Okay, so we're open for commissioner comments. Who wants to go first?
Madam Vice Chair, I'll go first. So, oh, this is not coming. Okay, I'll just say it. Friday nights at the Plaza, a live music and arts festival event is back. It's going to be on the first Fridays it's going to be on June 3rd, July 1st, August 5th, and September 2nd. The first Fridays of our summer months from 6 to 9 p.m. at Canyon Plaza. So live music and art, and that is a returning program, but now sponsored by the American Canyon Art Foundation. Putting on the Chamber of Commerce hat. Meet Me in the Streets is happening Wednesday, June 8th, 5 to 8 p.m. That's the kickoff for this summer. I see all of you there. Looking forward to this. It's expected to be even more well attended. And I know Valerie at the Chamber has been working hard to get more food vendors and more events, including during one of the Meet Me in the Street in July, there'll be a traditional Mexican Hispanic music band and mariachis running, also providing music as well as Hispanic folk dancing. The American Canyon Chamber of Commerce has a business social coming up on Wednesday, May 18th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Adobe Lumber. And, folks, I have too many hats in this community. The American Canyon Democratic Club has its first, in a long time, in-person meeting this Sunday, May 15th at Shenandoah Park at 12 p.m. Our state senator, Bill Dodd, is a featured speaker. And that's it for my comments. Vice Chair, do you want to take items for future consideration now, or do you want me to hold, or should we hold until after other commissioner comments?
Yeah, let's wait for everybody to make their announcements, comments.
Oh,
the chair is back.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it back to you, Chair.
Okay, so Commissioner Mamro, he had his comments. Anyone else have comments? No?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Oh,
I do
okay.
also, but I have to just plug my
Sorry.
computer in, so.
Okay.
Oh.
I'll let Commissioner Margolari go first.
No, you go ahead. I'm plugging in my laptop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Margolari. Okay. So, let's see, the spring music concert for American Canyon Middle School. It's getting my notes here. Thursday, May 19th at the gym from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll have strings, choir, band, and advanced band, and zero period choir. And it's a really fun concert. And I don't know if any of you follow our ACMS Instagram, but there's videos there of their performances where they got gold in two gold and silver, and so they're doing fantastic. So if you have time, come see a free concert. Okay, so the next one, getting my also Canyon Oaks Elementary School is having their Spring Arts Festival Saturday, May 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it will be at the Canyon Oaks School, 475 Silver Oak Trail. They will have food trucks, silent auction, games, dancing, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, the other one is I'm gonna change my background so you can see it. Can you see it? Yeah, okay. The Home Run Hoedown, it's May 21st. It's $40 per person or $70 per couple. That we're gonna have a bluegrass band, DJ, food. The dinner is included, barbecue and tri-tip, chicken, and also I think what's selling this is that we're having an actual mechanical bull ride, so you get to ride a bull there. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of TikToks. And just let me try to get this, just a minute. Like Commissioner Mamaro said, we wear too many hats here. And okay, so that's it for now. Last day of school is June 15th, so get ready to see lots of kids in the streets. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Margolari, ready?
Yes, American Canyon Parks Foundation Park and Play kicks off this Saturday at Shenandoah Park from 10 to 12. It'll be once a month throughout the summer, so be sure to come and join. I know Lobo will be there, and free donuts as well. Our Watershed Explorers, we received a $33,000 grant from the Coastal Commission for that. And we have our Curiosity Kids Garden Science programs that'll be coming out for the summer as well. Evening at the Ruins is September 10th. Tickets go on sale June 1st, so put that in your calendar. Looking ahead, we have our 100 Hours Outside campaign coming up, and we have a coffee morning at the wetlands in July. And then another opportunity that will come up for graduating high school students or college students will be a college internship that would be working 10 to 15 hours a week. It's a paid internship, and it would be June through August. So if you know of anybody, keep that in mind. I know information is going out to our local community college as well as our high school. So keep that in mind. The actual description and more information is on the foundation's website. So information for you there. Thank you.
Commissioner Griggs, did you have anything?
Yeah, just one thing as far as comments go. Spirit Horrors has opened up their summer camp program. So that's open for registration right now. Everything else for me is, this is my wind down time of year because school's ending. And so that's the only comment I have. I apologize. I need to backtrack just a little bit on our agenda because I pulled this out because I meant to ask about this. If people can see it, the guidelines set by the council for the function of PCS. This was written in 2003.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe this is something we would like to suggest to agendize for the June meeting to just sort of go through and see if it needs additions, updates, etc., to include in our presentation to council potentially in August. So I didn't want to forget about that. And then just a tiny little personal thing about the June meeting, June 9th. My household no longer has any children in it as Evangeline turns 13. And so if that meeting were the week before or the week after, it would not hurt my feelings, but I don't want to be the only reason. So that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. And I just have a couple things.
Kristen, before your comments, can I request of Director Akita to send the guidelines to all commissioners so we can read them?
It was part of the agenda for the April 6th, but it wasn't included in the agenda for tonight's meeting. So I pulled it out of the April meeting agenda because I had made all of these notes and these highlights and then it got lost in the pile. So I'm sorry for not bringing that up earlier.
Yeah, my understanding is I guess, is that it's going to be updated anyway because that's so old. I mean, I have it. Yeah, I have it in front of me, but
I just don't know who they want to do the updating because it was my understanding that they really would appreciate if we do most of the updating and then put it in a pretty little package, tie with a red bow and present it. It makes it much simpler for council to say yay or nay. But I could be wrong about that. If that's a staff thing, that's fine as well.
I'm going to chime in. So City Council did not direct us to update the guidelines that are set for PCS. What they are asking for is for us to draft a work plan for the next fiscal year 22-23. So at this time, they're not asking for us to update the guidelines.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, Seraptimus has their next bingo event on the 19th, which is next Thursday, a week from today. Always fun. June 4th. Yeah, June 4th, we are having a bunco fundraiser at the World Marine Clubhouse. We welcome anyone. It's going to be $30, and that includes dinner and a glass of wine and the games, I should say, with a $100 prize for the winner and on down for other categories. So we'd really appreciate it if you would help support us and spread the word. Commissioner Mammerl, did you talk about library at all?
Chair Einberger, I did not.
Okay, so this coming Saturday, May 14th from 11 to 2, there's a donation drop-off at the library. So if you have any books, CDs, puzzles, I think that's it, we'd appreciate donations. And then the next library sale is June 2nd through 4th. And that's all I have. So anything else? Wow, this is pretty good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Actually, Madam Chair, items for future consideration.
Okay.
All right. I have one, and that's the CPRS report for 2022. Commissioner Cerventi and I attended, and Chair Einberger, I know you were there too for the awards part. But I want to make sure that that is considered as an item for future consideration. Give a report on CPRS. In particular, and this is where this could come in really helpful. We saw playground vendors that had very, very good ideas for wheelchair accessible and autism accessible play structures. Not that we're going to choose them, that's operational. But we would love to give a report on that, as well as other aspects of CPRS.
Great. Well, I would think that would be good for our June meeting if we could include that. Director, that's possible.
Chair.
Uh-huh.
I just remember because Commissioner Mamro brought that you were there, that we're actually are going to go to council to receive the proclamation, correct, Commissioner Mamro?
Okay. That is correct. Let's see, June 15th, next council meeting.
Isn't it May? No?
Oh, correction. Sorry, we're in May. It is May 5th.
17th.
Yeah, there it is. May 17th.
Yeah.
I guess a question. I guess we'll get the info specifically, but whether that's going to be in person or hybrid or Zoom.
It's all three.
Yeah. Thank you.
You can attend in person. You can attend via Zoom, whatever you prefer.
Director Akira, do we need to wear masks if we're at the chamber? Okay, thank you.
No, you do not.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're muted, Chair.
Gonna get this right eventually. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
In a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and so roll call.
Chair, we don't need to do a roll call. We just can call the meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay. So thank you, everyone. This was a great meeting. So appreciate it, and really appreciate it ending now. Okay.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night.